Hey there, art nerds. So today we are talking about the Zen Art Supplies Classico Watercolor Palette. This is a curated 12 color palette from the company ZenArt, which I have only seen really on Amazon. This has been in my stash for a while. In 2025, I'm trying to work my way through my watercolor hoard and share my findings with you guys. So if you like what I do and you want to see more of that, make sure that you are subscribed and you click the bell notification. So let's go ahead, unbox, swatch, and compare the ZenArt Classico Palette. Hey there, art nerds. Today we're taking a look at Zen Art Supplies Classico Watercolor Paints. This is a half pan set that was purchased on Amazon. Now, I have my suspicions about what these paints might really be based on my years of experience reviewing student grade watercolors, but I am hoping that unboxing and swatching them will help us solve this mystery and also help you guys decide if these watercolors are worth your time and your dime. So this set was purchased on Amazon a while back, and it's been sitting in my to be reviewed pile for a while. This is from Zen Art Supplies. This is the Classico set of 12 colors, and they do have other sets available. I went with the one that I felt like I would be able to do the most color mixing and was the most likely to be usable for me. It says, inspiring the artist in everyone, virtuoso artist watercolor. So they're not making any claims about whether they are student grade or professional grade. They are virtuoso grade. And the art on the cover was by Anastasia Shimshilavili, the girl in the blue shawl. And I do really appreciate when companies credit their artists. Turning it over, this is the artist primary palette, and they encourage us to follow our creative flow. This is from Zen Art Supplies. This is a basic palette for any subject in a tin box. 12 half pan non-toxic artist quality watercolor paints. Take out the color tray for an extended mixing area. Color swatch on watercolor paper with color names. Mix and match with other palettes in this series. So when a company calls their paints artist grade, that is because artist grade does not have a specific meaning. Student grade has kind of a specific meaning. Professional grade has a specific meaning. Artist grade, master quality, whatever. We've talked about that a lot here on the channel. That doesn't have a specific meaning to it, so it's less likely to attract ire from artists, especially reviewers. So the colors in this set are Chinese white, lemon yellow, Hansa yellow medium, pyrrole orange, pyrrole red, ultramarine violet, cerulean blue hue, ultramarine blue, phthalo blue green shade, Indian red, raw umber, and lamp black. These are designed in London and made in China. I am betting it's one of 3 Chinese brands. Best, or maybe 4. Best case scenario, Paul Rubens rebranded. I don't think that's very likely. Could be Superior though. Superior is a really popular option for this sort of thing. So they have some additional linkages. We'll check that out later. And they have some QR codes down here. So I want to let you guys know I am recording this during Snowmageddon here in Louisiana. We got over 8 inches of snow. And while I am nice and safe and cozy and warm and I have food and everything I need, I do not have internet. So the order of this review is going to be a little unusual because I'm going to record part of it and then record other parts of it once I have internet again. So opening it up, I will set, actually, we'll start. It does come with paperwork. It does not seem to, at least as of right now, come with pigment information. So we have a thank you from Ardak Casanova, artist, mother, and co-founder of Zen Art Supplies. Dear artist, thank you for your purchase and welcome to the Zen Art Supplies family. As a professional artist, I've tried many art materials and realized premium prices do not guarantee better quality. I've traveled to different countries, met great artists, and asked them what they looked for. I used this information to create original designs for high quality products at competitive prices. I'm proud of the business I created with my husband, Roberto. Our less is more philosophy strives to save you money while exceeding your expectations, and our exceptional personalized customer service is building a strong fan base. We want you to be 100% satisfied with your purchase. If you have any questions or an issue with your purchase, please email me. We are proud to be part of B1G1 Business for Good, network of local businesses making a positive impact on a global scale. We're here to make a real difference in our world together with our valued customers. Then we also have a thank you for choosing us. Get our best-selling pocket-sized sketchbook, a gift every artist should have. And we have to text them. I don't think I'm going to be giving them my phone number. It has a 1-year warranty. So I do want to let you guys know that even if this has a negative review, even if I give this a negative review, that does not necessarily mean I'm dissatisfied with the product or that I am going to contact them. And one of the reasons I feel this way is I buy supplies to review to help you guys out, kind of like Consumer Reports, to help you find stuff that works for you, to help you find stuff that isn't worth your money. So my goal is not to get a return. It is not to send this back and get my money back, because I do actually keep a lot of my old watercolors that I reviewed so I can do swatch offs and comparisons, and you guys might see that today. And if I sent it back, then I wouldn't have access to that. However, if you are a regular consumer and you're not purchasing this to review and you want to take them up on this, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think that's it for paperwork. So it comes in, actually, I have to give them credit. This is a beautiful little box. This is probably where all the money went. It is embossed with Zen Art Supplies. It's not just a sticker. It's an embossment. It has the art on the front. It kind of reminds me of the Prima marketing, just in terms of using a sticker and branded packaging. The back is painted red. So that's actually really a very cute aesthetic. Y'all ready to see what's inside? So inside we have a little pamphlet that we'll take a look at in a minute. We have a cellulose pre-printed swatch map. I do think them having their logo in the back is going to kind of may affect how things swatch, because it may create a resist. It may also be a bit distracting, especially in areas where it takes up more space. I really would have preferred if they had not printed the logo on that side and had done it on the other side instead. And then our colors are individually wrapped and they have their own belly band. So I am thinking these could be Paul Rubens, these could be Phoenix watercolors, these could be superior watercolors, like either their student grade or their professional grade. We do have pigment information, transparency, and light fastness on the sides of each of these. Or these could be Mungyo. Mungyo is the company that manufactures the watercolors for Prima marketing. Now, one problem I already see is this is one of the mixing surfaces, and this embossment, while gorgeous, is going to catch the paint and can be a challenge to clean paint out of once the paint has dried. So the pamphlet they've given us, I may have to change the camera angle because it does look like we're going to run out of room. All right, so Artist Watercolor Palette, Classico, Moderno, Vista, and Sorriso. This is the Virtuoso series. And we're working with the Classico today. And this was purchased out of pocket with funds from my Patreon, as well as funds from my teaching engagements at local public libraries. There's a lot in here. So there's a lot. Okay, I kind of appreciate that though, because my internet is down, and they've made, this is basically the Amazon listing minus the price. So they've actually made it really easy for me. So this is the segment where there is going to be a lot of reading. I just want to remind you guys, I chapter out my reviews. So if you want to skip this part, that's going to be super easy. You can find the chapters either by scrolling and scrubbing along the bar, or you can go down into the description and you'll find it broken down into chapters. I also have links that you guys might find helpful, whether I bring up other watercolors or if you'd like to check out more of my art or you're looking for the show notes, those will be in the description below as well. So I'm going to read all 4 of these, starting with the Classico palette, which is the palette we're working with today. You can paint any subject with just these 12 essential colors in their most classic and popular hues. Mix any shade or create vibrant color mixes. Plus, you can add other palettes to Classico for variety. They all combine really well and great for color mixing. Here we have warm and cool hues of the primaries, some of the widely used earthy and secondary colors, plus white and black. So we have our names, we actually have our pigment info, our light fastness, our opacity info. I appreciate that. We have a guide at the bottom of the page. Now, this brand promises that their paints are non-toxic versions of traditional paints. So we're going to be seeing a lot of hues and a lot of substitutions. That's pretty common with student grade brands. However, there are some artists who really do prefer to paint with non-toxic paints. Like Winsor & Newton has released a cadmium-free line that duplicates the colors from their cadmium paints. So it's kind of a matter of taste. And I do appreciate them being honest and upfront that they are subbing out some of the pigments that might be in a traditional artist palette, so not to expect that. Now, something I'm going to be kind of curious about, and I'm going to read all of these. I am not seeing a lot of duplication in colors, like exact colors between brands. I am seeing like similar color choices, like the Moderno has some really beautiful colors. It has a purple in it. It has an opera pink, that sort of thing. But I'm not seeing like opera pink showing up in, another brand. So one of the things that makes me wonder is if they are white labeling this from another company and they're just like breaking up sets, which I am fine with. I really don't love when I buy a set like this and then I go buy another one and there's a bunch of duplicate colors. It makes me feel like I'm wasting my money. So you should know that if you do try these, that if you decide to buy more of them, you're not going to be duplicating colors. You're going to be getting fresh colors. The Moderno palette. With this modern palette, you can paint any subject too, just with a slightly brighter and trendier feel. We also notice these colors are present in modern watercolorist palettes, fashion illustrators, and urban sketchers. Add these to your Classico palette for painting your brighter mood and experiments with wider range of colors, or use with other palettes in this range. And the colors in that set are Hansa Yellow, New Gamboge, Pyrrole Scarlet, Opera Pink, Dioxazine Purple, Warm Gray, Cobalt Blue Hue, Turquoise Blue, Phthalo Green, Emerald Green, Brown Oxide, and Payne's Gray. The Vista palette is inspired by the aerial views with all those subtle shades of blues and greens, earthy colors and grays. It's the only palette that misses the reds, which could be borrowed from other palettes and added if necessary. However, there's a huge range of colors for painting the sea, forest, valley, river, lake, or mountain, any landscape vista, and it can be used together with the Classico or Moderno for other subjects. And that set has Indian Yellow, Yellow Ochre, Cobalt Violet Hue, Manganese Blue Hue, Ultramarine Blue, Phthalo Blue Green shade, Aqua Green, Aeolian Green, Permanent Green Light, Jade Green, Sepia, and Indigo. And then finally we have the Sorriso palette. Sorriso, smile in Italian, is the most beautiful expression that opens up the hearts and doesn't require any explanation. Although it's rare to see an open smile in masterpieces, our Sorriso palette is for you to smile while you paint the portraits or figurative paintings. With so many colors, you'll love for mixing any shade of skin, age, and mood. Combine it with other palettes for more colors if you desire more blues or miss other colors. And that palette has Naples Rose, Pale Terracotta, Golden Quinacridone, Vermilion Hue, Quinacridone Rose, Cobalt Violet Hue, Yellow Oxide, Burnt Sienna, Burnt Umber, Olive Green, and Prussian Blue. And then their light fast scale is 1 for good, 2 for very good, 3 for excellent. Their transparency, T for transparent, O for opaque, ST for semi-transparent, SO for semi-opaque. And then it says artworks on the covers of these paints and the leaflet are by Anastasia Shimshilavili. And they actually give her like her handle at Art Shima and are protected by copyright. And then we can see a few more of their products. So ZenArt products for watercolors, they have brushes and a palette knife, more brushes, miniature brushes, cotton watercolor pads. They've got they call this their aspiring artist line. I call it the See Me Art line with the like really dried little chiclets of paint. So I do think they are white labeling. That is not necessarily a problem. All our products are designed by Ardak Casanova, professional artist and co-founder of ZenArt, who came up with the idea of creating limited palettes for specific purposes. By using our products, artists can rest in confidence knowing they are using traditional knowledge with a modern twist. If you love these Virtuoso series watercolor sets, you should try our unique watercolor travel set for professional artists, the Art Nomad for modern artists on the go. And I'm going to try to bring that up on the screen for you guys because it's been in my cart for a while. I've also seen it on AliExpress though, like in that format. So I've been kind of on the fence about it because to me, the Art Nomad kind of looks very student grade and I have enough student grade watercolors in my collection. I can't justify more, but I do like the format of it. It features 24 highly pigmented, transparent, and light fast Korean watercolor paints. These are going to be mungyo. 6 amazing Japanese synthetic soft yet springy watercolor brushes, HB pencil, all in one place, ready for you to pick. The sponge for water control and a color mixing area, all seamlessly integrated into a unique lightweight palette you can hold single-handedly. It's compact, unique, and contains everything you need wherever you are, at home, studio, or outdoors. It is also endorsed by Anastasia Shimshilivili, and the cover is painted by her using Art Nomad paints. This cover or this cover? I'm not sure. It kind of looks like probably this one because if these paints are the grade that I think they are, this is about, you're not going to be able to do kind of the layering and shading that you probably could do with, we'll see. I don't have that palette. We'll see. Hard to make a judgment. Your health and environment matters. We take the safety of artists and environment very seriously. We chose the non-toxic paints for all our products. We offer the highest quality paints that conforms to the toughest international certification standards. ASTM D4236 and ISO 9001. And then they have their website and they have a, okay, I did not read this. We have follow the success of our, I'm off screen. Follow the success of our Infinity Series oil paints. Oh, I cannot read tonight. I'm going to have to do a dumb voice. Following the success of our Infinity Series oil paints, we extended our range of paints. We created the new Artist Quality line, Virtuoso series of watercolor sets, where you can embrace the full potential of the highly pigmented, luminous, and transparent professional watercolors in a sturdy, compact palette, which you can take with you wherever you go or have at home or your studio for painting your new masterpiece. Virtuoso series, Classico, Moderno, Vista, and Cerezo watercolor palettes and Art Nomad travel set were tested and endorsed by our brand ambassador, Anastasia Shimshilavili, the winner of many prestigious art prizes and exhibitions. All cover artworks for our new Virtuoso series products, including watercolor paints and paper, are done by Anastasia using our featured products. We believe in the power of color mixing and creating the everlasting color harmony by choosing the paints in one palette that can create an infinite range of colors. Learn how to create a harmony of colors and mixing them to evoke a particular mood and atmosphere is an important skill that sets artists apart. These skills skills depend on an understanding of color and confident color mixing, two areas that are learned with practice. We realize how challenging this can be, especially for artists who are just getting started. And they're gonna have a color mixing guide. And that wrecked my voice. We've got 12 paints, including a white and a black. Generally, when it comes to watercolor, you can just skip white with me. I'm gonna use white gouache anyway. And if I wanna mix pastels, I will just mix my colors lighter. And I tried to be discerning when buying a palette. I tried to get one that I felt would really work well for me. So I am going to unwrap these. I'm gonna unwrap one live for you and then do the rest in time lapse. So we're gonna start with Chinese white. It uses PW6. It is opaque and it has 3 stars of light fastness. Now, often what I will do when I am doing these kind of watercolors is I will try to save this part to tape on the back. Honestly though, that's a lot of labor. I'm feeling lazy. So what I might do instead is just save the pamphlet and keep it with the box. So these appear very smooth and shiny. You can see the extrusion line. So why is that relevant? Mungyo tends to have very bumpy paints. These are actually looking a lot like Phoenix watercolors. Now, they did not say these were the Korean watercolors. They said the Art Nomad was the Korean watercolors. I'll do, I guess, one more. I don't want this to last, to take forever, but this is lemon yellow. It uses PY3. It is semi-opaque and it has 2 stars of light fastness. And these snap, I don't know if you guys caught that. They just snap in to the, yeah, this one's also very smooth. These might be not Mungyo. I interrupt your scheduled time lapse to point out something I noticed. On the back of these, it says PH, which could be short for the Philippines, a place of manufacturing, or it could be short for Phoenix, like Phoenix watercolors. Usually when I see white labeled products, they really do a good job scrubbing off all of the original branding and having it completely replaced with their own. So it's unusual to see some of that residual branding still there. So it's long past time that I introduced myself. If you are new here, hi, hello, welcome. And if you're old here, hi, welcome back. I'm Becca Hilburn. I'm a watercolor comic artist and illustrator. I make the watercolor comics 7-inch Cara, and I've also painted thousands of illustrations. I am also an art educator in my day-to-day life. I am a gig art teacher working with public libraries to create art programming. I have a tremendous amount of experience, although some of it is admittedly kind of esoteric because I have reviewed hundreds of watercolor palettes at this point in time. So I like to use my experience with watercolor and watercolor paint to help you guys find watercolors that you will love and to see if they are worth your time and your dime. So if you enjoy what I have to say here, please consider subscribing and clicking the bell notification if you have not yet. And if you have, I would love it if you would head on over to my website, nattosoup.com, and check out some of my art. Other than that, I think it's time to get started. So we're going to be doing a lot of swatching today. We're going to be doing color mixing today. We're going to do a mud test, which is where I paint a square of clean water and drop colors in and see how those colors move. We're going to be doing a lift test. We may or may not do a field test with these paints. It really kind of depends on how I feel about them, if I'm vibing with them, and if I feel inspired by them, and if I feel the need to really challenge them. I'm also going to try and figure out who makes these watercolors originally, because if the source is cheaper, then I would recommend that you get them from the source. Not to steal from ZenArt, but we're all on a budget here, and if they're white labeling anyway, you might as well get it from them if you can. So that's kind of my goals for today. I'm going to start off real simple though. We're going to start by filling out the included swatch card here. So as you guys saw, I spritzed these with water to activate them. The color activation is clean and quick and requires no scrubbing. The colors so far are pretty saturated and vibrant. In general, I like the color selection of this palette minus the inclusion of the white and the black. It's going to be interesting to see if there's any granulation. That's going to be a more obvious tell about the quality of these watercolors and who is manufacturing these, and I'll be able to see that more apparently on the Cottonrag paper. So while these dry, I want to talk to you guys a little bit. I did a little bit of digging and I pulled out my Phoenix Watercolors Studio set. And I've talked about these a few times here on the channel. I did a review of the Phoenix watercolors on their own as part of my student grade showdown. And I also reviewed the Cotman Travels set that I have been told by a fellow artist is using Phoenix watercolors at this point, that Winsor & Newton is white labeling from Phoenix. So the good news is I like Phoenix watercolors, although I do still need to do like an independent field test of these just to make sure I like them before I like endorse that, but that's going to be like a separate video. That's not in this video. That might mean though that I don't field test these, but I field test these and just direct you guys to this field test. So, you know, we'll see. Time is a limited resource. And, you know, I'm trying to be mindful of my time. So these have a lot in common. Similar colors, similar pan structure where it slopes inward, similar how the paints kind of bowl over, and these are very smooth watercolors. But when I was putting these into their palette, I noticed that they have a pH on the back. And one of the first things I checked, weasel this out. Okay, so you guys can see I do actually usually tape. What does that have? Oh, a pH on the back, pH for Phoenix. So I am pretty sure these ZenArt watercolors are Phoenix watercolors. And I'm also pretty sure that the 4 sets that ZenArt has broken this up to, Classico, Moderno, Vista, and Cereso. This is a 48 color set. 48 divided by 12, 4 sets. So I think what they're doing is they're buying like the full range of Phoenix watercolors. To my knowledge, Phoenix may have added more. Again, I don't have internet right now. That's something a later Becca can look into. Anyway, and just divvying them up into smaller palettes or having Phoenix do that. I believe Phoenix offers OEM and ODM services, so maybe that's something that they're handling rather than ZenArt. Now, another thing, not really super relevant, but just something I noticed is both palettes have this embossment. I think the Phoenix palette is so pretty. I love this color of blue. It's just adorable. And I actually really like the white ZenArt palette as well. So I do like that kind of attention to detail, but it does seem like with the ZenArt watercolors, we're dealing with Phoenix. So while I am going to do swatching, color mixing, even some comparative swatches for the doubters in the audience, I am working under the assumption that these are Phoenix watercolors, and I will be pointing you to a follow-up video where I field test the full set if you guys are curious about how these field test rather than, and these are beautiful colors, and I could definitely come up with something to, you know, utilize these particular colors. And frankly, if you guys really wanted to see me do that, you can reach out to me and let me know and I'll do that. But I've been meaning to field test the full Phoenix palette anyway. So I'm hoping this will just be like the incentive that I needed to finish up something that I should have done a while back. So we've swatched on their paper, and here is our swatch card. Now I want to give it its very best shot and try swatching on a Cottonrag paper. And for that, I am using Blick Premier Cottonrag paper. This is the paper that I use through almost all of my reviews. I think Paul Rubens and Balhang sometimes make an appearance, but mostly it is Blick. I have 2 lines already drawn. These are going to be opacity tests. The top one is going to be for our ZenArt, and the bottom is going to be for Phoenix, and I tried to make sure to leave room for color mixing. The color selection of this set is very bright and basic primary, kind of like Praying watercolors, which I plan on revisiting soon, so keep an eye out for those if you guys are curious. Otherwise, it feels like a very standard basic 12 color set with a pretty normal selection of colors for a mixing set like this, but that's kind of what we bought this for, so I'm not really surprised. These are finishing drying, I'm going to go ahead and move my watercolor palette to the side and bring in the Phoenix palette. Now, not all of these colors are the same. Not all of them are named the same. Not all of them use the same pigments. I did the best I could. There are some that are the same, and then there's some that I had to kind of eyeball. But that doesn't mean that the ZenArt are not Phoenix. It just means it's been a few years since I bought my Phoenix palette. They may have subbed out some pigments for cheaper palettes. This might be something that they are doing specifically with ZenArt as a white label project. Basically, there's a lot of reasons why one palette might differ a little bit from another palette. Please keep in mind that this isn't a one-to-one. There are several colors in ZenArt that are not in Phoenix, and obviously vice versa. That said, I do still think that these are a Phoenix product. Very similar, although not exactly the same. The paints between the two palettes handle very much alike. There are some color discrepancies, and it will be interesting to see how some of these colors dry. I actually swatched more than just 12 colors because, again, I'm kind of averaging out some of the colors that are in one set and are not in the other. Also, Phoenix may have a larger range than 48, or they may have expanded their range over time. Editing Becca will look that up and put that information here because I do not have internet access, so I cannot check that for myself at this moment. So while these are drying, and these are the Phoenix, these are the ZenArt, I'm going to go ahead and switch them out again so we can go on to color mixing. Now, I'm going to be doing two types of color mixing. I am going to be doing optical, which is basically like a plaid pattern, and I'm going to be doing atomic, which is where we take two colors and we smash them together to make secondary colors. I'm going to start by laying down my stripes for my optical mixing. So 2 yellow, 2 red, well, yeah, 1 red, sorry, 2 blue, that sort of thing, and allow them to dry fully while we move on to atomic. Atomic offers decent secondary mixes with a fair amount of granulation anytime ultramarine blue is introduced, and that's something I want to see. I'm able to mix some browns and a good Payne's gray, although the Payne's gray is very warm. I'm also able to mix purples. These dried decently saturated. For optical, these offer decent color glazing without too much reactivation, but I also did not give these time to dry out fully before applying a second glaze. No noticeable strong resist. You can easily see the first color through the second, and you can see the second color affecting the first. So while our optical mixing dries, let's go ahead and use this space at the bottom to do our mud test. With the mud test, I noticed these paints get very soupy if you leave water on them, just like the Phoenix watercolors. So having a mixing surface for color control is important. You're going to end up picking up a lot of paint that's going to end up in your paint cup. So there's going to be a lot of paint wastage with these. These also spread out a lot and dissolve in water with misty firework-like effects, so they seem to contain a good amount of oxgall. The colors mix freely, although some strong colors like phthalo blue threaten to take over in a mix and can be quite overwhelming. It's going to be interesting to see if these dry as saturated as they are when they're wet. And if you guys want to see how the Phoenix watercolors handle any full watercolor illustration, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the field test. Haha, I have internet again. So this is what you get when you look up ZenArt on Amazon. So here is the set we were talking about today, the Classico set. They also have journals and oil paints and a lot of brushes. I do believe this is probably a white label company where they're buying their products from another manufacturer and then relabeling it. This is actually fairly common, as we've talked about in other videos. It's not really an unusual thing. The only reason I'm bringing it up is because often they will charge a higher price point than, you know, where they're white labeling from. And if it's something that's already consumer accessible, then I want to see a value add. So here's the listing: professional watercolor paint set, Classico, non-toxic 12 half pan set and metal tin palette, portable travel watercolor set for adults, vibrant essential primary watercolors for artists by ZenArt. We have our 4 other sets, all about the same price at $24.95. While some other watercolor sets are student grade, claimed professional, not vibrant or create muddy mixes, our Virtuoso Artist watercolors for adults, validated by artists, are highly pigmented, non-toxic, and produce vibrant color mixes. This means joyful painting and exploring new techniques. So it kind of seems like they are maybe, I don't know, I was going to say they're accepting that they may fall into the student grade category with the way this is, like, while some other watercolor sets are student grade, implying that they are also student grade. And to be fair, their price point is a student grade price point, so I knew what I was getting into. Honestly, I expected this set to be a lot worse. Limited palette for infinite harmony. Create a color harmony with 12 high quality paints, half pans. Good to learn color mixing, great for beginners too. We suggest you use Classico or Moderno as your primary palette, adding Vista for landscapes or sketching and Cerezo for painting people or animal portraits. The full range includes 48 vibrant colors. And I'm kind of wondering where they got extra color or different colors from versus Phoenix, but we're going to talk about Phoenix in a little bit. By artists for any artist. At ZenArt Supplies are designed by our founder and artist Arda Casanova. I'm kind of curious about her, so I will look at her in just a minute. And co-created with fine artist Anastasia Shimshilavili at Art Shima. I need to look at Art Shima too. We strive to make functional and well thought through materials for artists that are suitable for beginners and aspiring artists. A great gift for the artists you love. Purchase with a purpose. We believe in creative power of art. Therefore, by joining Zen Artist community with that, boy, they all of these companies want you following them on socials. They do not follow back or reshare other people's art, but boy, they want you doing for them. Get your Zen Art starter set and start creating a better art and better life. This is for their oil paints. Here is Ardat Casanova, a busy mother and professional. I turned to art for relief, but struggled with the high cost and environmental impact of quality supplies. Okay, sure. I hear a lot of art influencers say a very similar line. They started fairly recently. They didn't do a lot of market research before deciding that they were inventing the wheel. They could have spent more time Googling or reading blogs or watching YouTube just to find out. But no, why? I wasn't alone. Many artists echoed my concerns. Why couldn't we have art supplies that are both top quality and eco-friendly without breaking the bank? With this question, my husband Roberto and I founded ZenArt. So there are existing companies that do eco-friendly. There are a lot of existing companies that do eco-friendly art supplies or are attempting to be more eco-friendly, or using their idea of eco-friendly. It's not less plastic waste, because you saw all of these half pans were wrapped in both paper and plastic. It's not using biodegradable materials, because our half pans are plastic and our tin is metal. There are not bean paints, which are made by indigenous folks in Canada and using hand-sourced materials and locally sourced materials and using wax cloth or wood to wrap the paints. Like that, I would say, is a company doing, like, really trying to do the eco-friendly promise. This is just, they're buying white label art supplies from Phoenix and rebranding it. And I'm pointing this out because we see a lot of this kind of greenwashing, and I want more of us to just be aware of it. Like, you can like these paints, you can like these supplies, you can like plastic half pans, but that doesn't make them eco-friendly. And this is what we saw with Craftamo as well. And then we broadened our canvas. Pigments matter. We take our pigments seriously. Choosing the right art supplies can be as critical as choosing skincare products. And I mean, not a wrong comparison, but an interesting comparison that kind of limits your audience. That's why at ZenArt, we take our pigments seriously, especially when it comes to what we leave out. We avoid using toxic pigments. Sidebar, toxic pigments tend to be expensive. It could also be a cost-saving measure, or it could just be that Phoenix may not use those pigments in their brand, so they wouldn't have had access to them anyway. So see how you can take a limitation and turn it into a positivity if you just have that good marketing. I do not have that good marketing. I don't know how to do that. We avoid using toxic pigments and harsh chemicals that can be harmful to both artists and the environment without compromising on vibrancy and durability. Pets in a journal. Oh, this is specific uses. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I thought they were recommending who it's for. And then we have, again, what is in this palette. And see, it's funny that these are a direct comparison, because these are also Phoenix watercolors. And Superior Farben is actually Superior Watercolors rebranded, and I've talked about that here on the channel before. Tiny but mighty, vibrant and portable watercolors, a decent watercolor travel set. Yeah, missing a few items that would make it great. The ideal compact, it looks, okay, that's the interior of it. The ideal compact watercolor paint set, high quality and affordable, comparable to big brands. Yeah, because Winsor Newton is using Phoenix watercolors as their common watercolors, allegedly. Good travel set. Sorry. Paint pans, very loose to start, can be manually adjusted. Yeah, with those metal things, you can pinch those tighter. So that is ZenArt on Amazon. Here is Zen Art Supplies, so their store, basically, shop.zenartsupplies.co. To inspire your art, your soul, how we are different. Feel the connection, feel the trust, feel the care. Actually, I'm kind of interested in their watercolor brushes. Yep. Okay, so this is something that kind of bugs me when, instead of saying synthetic, you refer to it as vegan or eco-friendly. When it is still synthetic, it's still plastic. Yes, technically that is vegan friendly, but it isn't eco-friendly because these tiny, tiny little plastic filaments are not going to degrade. And I'm pointing it out because I think a lot of beginner artists may have really great intentions. A lot of us care about the environment and love animals. And I just want you guys to have, you know, all of the information. There are pros and cons to using hair brushes. There are pros and cons to using synthetic brushes. And it should be your choice as an individual, which you prefer. But labeling them as eco-friendly, I think, is deceptive. And then it also seems like they only sell sets for their brushes, so you can't buy their open stock. Now it'd be interesting, I'm not doing this today, but it'd be interesting to see who they're white labeling their brushes from. Inspiration for your aspirations. So they've got, I guess this is like a little blog with some information. They have Q&A sessions, but it does not seem to be working. Supposedly you can send them questions. One of the things they're really selling is like how great their their customer support is. You know, I don't know. I've had such bad experiences with art supply company customer support over the years that, you know, any kind of a real response with information about like what binder they're using would be fantastic. I don't think they can provide that information though, because I think they're white labeling these, so they just may not have that information. And what they mean by support may be like answering artist questions. So here we have Phoenix Watercolors. This is new to me and looks incredibly interesting. New tab, that one. Check that out later. I have talked, as you guys know, I've talked about the Phoenix Watercolors before. I'm going to field test these in a separate video. So if you want to see the field test for the Classico paints, just watch the Phoenix field test. That should give you the information that you need. The 24 color set, which is twice as many paints, is $29.99, so only about $5 more than what we're paying with the ZenArt. And you can also get their 12 color sets for $15.99, so a good amount cheaper. And we're here on Amazon because this is one of the common ways to find both ZenArt and Phoenix. I am going to be moving away from reviewing stuff from Amazon in the future and trying to support more small businesses, but I'm still trying to kind of work through the backlog of what I have. And then here's the Phoenix website. So they also make canvases. Sorry, everything wants to bring up a pop-up immediately so that we can't really see what we're doing. They also make Aureo. I'm sorry, I'm going to mispronounce that. It looks a lot like the My Marie set that I reviewed a while back. And I do actually have some Aureo tubes that I want to talk about with you guys at some point in the future. So color, there we go. Watercolor. So you can see they have both tubes and the sets, and their set is actually a lot. The 12, oh no, this is probably the price for the 12 if I think about it. Highly pigmented colors, excellent diffusion, removable half pans, safe, verified. Artist level pigments, good transparency, easy to dip. All right, y'all. And I'm gonna take a look at this again when I'm talking about these. So on their website, it's $16.99, $29.99, and $41.99 for the Phoenix watercolors. Whereas their tubes, which may not be available on Amazon, I have not dug around yet. It's 12, 24, 8 mil, 12 set, sorry. It is 12 or 24 in 8 milliliter tubes, starting at $18.99. I'm assuming that's for the 12. And then we have like the little individual broken out sets like you see from like Arteza or from Mungyo with the Prima marketing sets. All right, so that was ZenArt Online and also Phoenix, but I do want to look at Cotman real quick because Cotman is also allegedly using Phoenix watercolors. So in general, I like Cotman okay. My problem with Cotman is I really think it's very expensive for a student grade brand. If you're going to spend this much, you might as well buy regular Winsor Newton and just get a slightly smaller set. So you can see that the 12 color half pan sets, and I actually really like this little plastic compact palette. It comes with a water brush. It seems very pocket size, $29. And to be fair, Amazon is expensive for Winsor Newton products. Blick is usually a better price point. Oh my gosh. I love how that got lost immediately. The watercolor Skechers pocket set is $25, probably because of the synthetic brush that they've included. Like, it makes it that much extra value. And then they're not showing, I'm not seeing the field set that I reviewed on the channel a couple of years ago. That one I liked because I liked the setup of the palette itself, and I could see myself easily refilling that palette with colors that I liked better and reusing it for that. And then you can also see kind of who Amazon thinks is their competition. We've got Sakura, we've got Le Petit Aquarelle from Sennelier, we've got Grabby, which I've talked about here on the channel, we've got Paul Rubens. I would actually say the professional grade Paul Rubens is gonna make you happier than the Cotman. It is a little more expensive, but they make nice paints. And somewhere around here, I saw the Mei Liang pigments that I've talked about a whole lot. Actually, I'm gonna make you guys a little sick looking for it real quick. Scroll. Here we go. Okay, so I reviewed this set. I like this set. The set I received did not come in half pans. They came in like a plastic tray, but I still love those paints, and it's still cheaper for 36 colors. Now, cheaper is not always better, but in terms of, you know, student grade white label products, cheap and good is what I've found most people are looking for. That's the sweet spot for them. All right, my dears, it is time to talk about the pros and cons of ZenArt Classico watercolors. And I'm actually going to do this kind of in two segments. So first, we're going to talk about these as a ZenArt product. The pros are the color selection is fun and fairly vibrant for a beginner's mixing set. The palette is well made and sturdy with a cute design. The cons are these are Phoenix watercolors and priced high for Phoenix watercolors. This set is currently $24.95 on Amazon. A comparably sized Phoenix set is $15.99. Although the color selection is a little bit different, it still seems like it's a good mixing palette. By contrast, a similar sized Cotman palette is $25.49, although Amazon does tend to run high, and $29. There isn't enough included to justify the higher price, and I can buy either Phoenix or ZenArt through Amazon. They have the same accessibilities. So what about the pros and cons of the paints themselves? Let's say you just could not find Phoenix watercolors, so you really want this set. The paints are fairly saturated watercolors. They remind me a lot of Mei Liang pigments. They're quick to activate, they readily intermix, they have decent secondary mixes, and they offer decent glazing. The cons are they get soupy if you leave water on them, they get used up fast, and they muddy your paint water quickly due to the above. So what is my verdict? Keep in mind, I'm going to field test the Phoenix watercolors in a separate video, and that's going to really give you a more well-rounded verdict of how these paints are going to handle. So I hope you guys will consider subscribing and clicking the bell notification if you haven't, so that you don't miss that. That said, I kind of feel like you might as well just get the Phoenix watercolors if you're in the market for affordable, fairly accessible student grade watercolors, or get Mei Liang pigments instead of these, mostly because these are kind of high priced and they are already just Phoenix watercolors in a different branding. And while the palette is, I think, really cute, I like the white and red branding, the palette for Phoenix is really pretty with this metallic blue flake. So if your selling point is an aesthetic palette, Phoenix has an aesthetic palette, but also Malayang Pigments comes in colors like teal and yellow and pink, so they also offer an aesthetic palette if that's what you're looking for. Basically, what I'm saying is knowing that you can easily access the company that is white labeling for ZenArt, you can easily access their paints on Amazon. It's hard for me to recommend these because these are just more expensive Phoenix paints with a little additional branding thrown in and not really any accessories that might make me feel like there was a value add. So my verdict is skip these paints and just get the Phoenix watercolors. If you're interested in more student grade watercolors, if you really want to shop and kind of get an idea of what's out there and what's good and what's bad before you spend your money, make sure you check out my student grade showdown. I'll have it linked in the sidebar as well as in the show notes. This video is part of that series. I think a little bit of research can be a lot of fun, and maybe that's because I am a giant nerd, but also you can save money by seeing what other artists who paint in a style that you enjoy, or even just use some of the same techniques you use, think of a certain product, because not all watercolors are for every artist, and somebody might love a paint that I dislike or hate a paint that I love. So getting a well-rounded opinion by doing your research can help you save a lot of money in the long run. And that's why I review art supplies. I have that impulsivity problem. Art supplies are my hyper focus, and I have an MFA in sequential art from SCAD. I have been painting watercolor comics for years and have used and have tried and have gone through a lot of watercolor. I've also made a lot of mistakes. So hopefully I can use my experience and expertise to help you guys find watercolors that are a good fit for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope to see you guys again soon. So while checking out these paints, while unboxing them, I decided that I kind of deduced, that these are probably Phoenix watercolors. I figured they were probably white labeling these from some Chinese company, just given the kind of brand and the phrasing that they use, and it gave me a lot of Craft Damo vibes. So if you're interested in other companies white labeling art supplies at a markup, make sure you check out my Craft Damo video. But I figured out that these are probably Phoenix watercolors, so we did a head-to-head swatch comparison. And while there are a few colors that Classico has that are not within the 48 Phoenix watercolors range, there's a lot of similarities, including the pH on the back of the half pans. That said, they were fine watercolors. They were decent quality. They come in a high quality palette. I like the plastic half pans that they come in. It's not like a plastic liner like we've seen with Malayang Pigments. They are fine. My recommendation would be to go with the Phoenix watercolors. They cost a little bit less than these and come in a beautiful palette as well, as you guys saw. If we're comparing apples to apples and you are looking to acquire art supplies and you're on a budget, right? I know a lot of folks this year are talking about doing no buy or low buy, and I do want to remind you guys that a lot of small businesses, a lot of makers and crafters are marginalized folks. Some of them may have multiple things that they are dealing with, right? Like in my instance, I'm disabled. So when you support small businesses, whether it's for art supplies or it's at the farmer's market or to purchase art or whatever, do keep in mind that you are supporting individuals who are just trying to make a living rather than your money going to these massive corporations. And I bring that up because I recognize that I bought this on Amazon a while back, and I am trying to make an effort to review and to talk about and to champion more small makers on the channel, people like myself, because I think we get kind of lost in all of this. So if you are looking for more art supply goodness, if I got you in the mood, if I got you inspired, please check out the videos that are going to pop up in the cards. One of them is my gift guide for 2024, and it's all small makers, small businesses, handmade artists, as well as the follow-up video for all the things that arrived after Christmas. Maybe you'll find some art supplies that spark joy or spark your imagination. I hope you guys will check that out as well, because
in reality, whether you're buying Phoenix or you're buying Classico, they are mostly sold on Amazon, and that means you're not necessarily supporting your brick and mortar or supporting a small business. So I do want to point you guys to some alternatives. This was purchased out of pocket with funds from teaching engagements, because I am a gig art teacher, as well as from my Patreon. So if you like what I do and you want to help support what I'm doing here on the channel, make sure you head on over to patreon.com/natosoup, where you will not only find early access to videos like this one, so upcoming reviews, but you will also find backer exclusives like printable line arts, as well as the materials that I create for my in-person classes, which could be awesome if you are a fellow art teacher and you're looking for some additional art teaching resources geared at beginner artists. I hope this was helpful, useful, and informative for you guys. I want to remind you to stay tuned and make sure you are subscribed and you have your bell notification on so that when I do my Phoenix field test, you don't miss it. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Bye, guys!